Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm the Roblox Dev, and today I'll be showing you how to texture for Roblox developers, or just basic concept of texturing for Roblox developers. So keep in mind that texturing is not easy. It might be just as hard as modeling. Okay, so there's actually two things I'm going to be mainly focusing on. Okay, so first thing is going to be basic texturing for just Roblox developers that want to make their own small games that can run and doesn't have super high needs for textures. And the other part I'm going to be talking about is the advanced texturing. So you want to make a living from texturing. You don't want to make models at all. Okay, you just want to make textures and as commissions, basically. Yeah, I'll be going through both, just an overview. So first thing you want to approach for basic texturing is to minimize the amount of texturing you need to do in Blender. This is because texturing in Blender and exporting it out is very, very tedious. I'll be showing that in the next slide, but here I can show you an example. What approach you should do instead of texturing the whole thing in Blender. So what you should do is kind of like this example right here, is you want to cut the model into different pieces, and those pieces where there is like more complex texturing that can't be done in Roblox, you want to texture, UV unwrap, texture them, and then bake them. Export the baked map, and then apply it to the part of the model. Okay. I can show you like a real-life example that I just did recently, which is this one right here. So for this model, I had to cut these parts out. Like, it's a lot easier to just texture them in Roblox, so that's why I cut these parts out, so I can just texture them in Roblox. And then these parts, okay, I cannot texture this in Roblox. I need them to be this color and like this, so I would have to export, I have to bake the map and export it into Roblox. Okay. So why do you want to avoid texturing in in Blender? Here's a very simplified step that you would need to take for basic texturing. Okay, this is not advanced, it's still basic. So very, very basic is that you would need to first UV unwrap the model, and then make the texture, bake the texture, and then export it into Roblox Studio. Or just export it as a PNG or something like that, and then you can import it into Roblox Studio. And what UV unwrapping is basically cutting your model apart so that they can be unwrapped like this. Like this whole llama thing is cut into like different pieces so that they can be put on a flat sheet of paper. And these are the cuts. If you don't cut them, the texture is not going to work. Unless it's very like basic color, like just one color, then it will work. But if you want to make it more complex, kind of like this, or kind of like this, there's no way that you can have a model without UV unwrapping it. Okay, and then after is making the texture. There's a variety of ways to make the texture, but usually for beginners or for like basic texturing, you want to use nodes, like basic nodes, not very complex nodes, and learn the basics of how to operate these nodes, and maybe a little bit of texture painting as well. And then afterwards, you're gonna have to bake the texture, or else you wouldn't be able to import it into Roblox. So you'll have to everything's set up, and then you'll have to do the baking process, which is also pretty tedious, which you have to go to cycles mode in Blender, and then you have to put the image texture thing in each node. Like, it's kind of complex. I'll explain it in detail in a future video, but this is the basic process that you'll have to take if you want to texture in Blender and export it into Roblox Studio. If you want to do advanced texturing, for example, you want to make a living from texturing. Not make a living, but like make Robux just from texturing. The things you need to learn, like above the basics. So you need to learn the basics. These are mandatory. Okay, you have to learn them if you want to texture at all in Blender and export it. And then these are the stuff you have to learn additionally if you want to be doing advanced texturing. First stuff is texture painting. You'll need to be able to understand texture painting, so you know how to use it, and then you would need to also be proficient at it. So you can't be drawing like what this guy's doing here. This is a demonstration. You would have to probably zoom in and then do different corners and then paint like that. Yeah, and then you have to also know how to use different maps. You have to understand what different map does, because usually we only know diffuse maps. Diffuse maps are just the color maps. It only shows the color of the model. But Roblox has also incorporated these other maps. This one you don't need to worry about. This one is the same as this one, so it's mainly the specular map and then the normal map that you can also use texture paint on. You can actually paint this thing. So what these things does is, normal maps is telling Roblox which part is like lower and which part is higher, like bumps on the skin. If you see these high quality models, and they have like very small minor details, those are not made. Okay, those are not made from in modeling. They make that model, right? They make the model, and then they bake the normal maps from that very high quality model, and then they apply the normal maps onto a lower poly model, so that the lower poly model looks like the very high quality model, but it's not actually the high quality model. So it's like an optical illusion, telling which part is like that's higher and which part is lower on the skin, like bumps. You have to understand that. Also, the specular is which parts are brighter and which parts are darker. Okay, like brighter, like actually like reflecting lights and stuff. There's also one that's like the metallic map as well, telling which part is more metallic and which part is less metallic. Yeah, you have to understand those things. Also, Photoshop, if you want to make like, you know, the floor texture, if you want to make wall textures or like whatever texture, you need to learn Photoshop, a bit of Photoshop at least. If you want to get advanced, you're probably gonna have to master Photoshop, like almost master, like know very well how to use Photoshop. And you can operate and make different shapes, different like textures on Photoshop. That is seamless. Seamless texture is a texture that can be repeated like 100 times, and then you wouldn't see that it repeats. It looks like it's not repeating. You could do that with like some AI stuff, but if a client asks you to make something custom, it's very hard to do that, so you have to learn that as well. And then advanced nodes. So you have to understand the texturing nodes very well and how to use them. Like these things can be made from just nodes alone. The randomness, all of this can be made from nodes. You just have to know how to connect the dots. Like this one, you have to know how to connect which parts to which, and then you'll be able to make good textures using that. So how would you want to approach basic texturing in Roblox? So you want to do half Roblox, half Blender textures. So you want to go to Blender and go to your model, and you want to cut its part. For example, at first, it's one ginormous part. Oops, let me select all of this. And then J. It could be like this, you know, your model is one ginormous part. And then now you have to select the model that you want to cut. You want to go to edit mode, and then you want to select the parts that you want to cut. So you could press L, and it'll select that entire arm or entire part. Press F3, separate, have this, write this, separate section, and then this section is gone. You can go to object mode again, and then go do this thing again. So press L, separate section again. You don't have to always go back to object mode again. You can also just continue doing it. Just press L again to that part, and then press F3, separate section. And then you can do that for all the parts that you want the texture to be different. So what you want to do is separate all the parts that you want to texture in Roblox away from the parts that you want to texture in Blender. Okay, and then after you separated the parts, okay, into the desired pieces, now you have to import the model, and then you want to select it. You want to select the parts. Let me just show you an example. So here's the example. You have a robot model. It's made from a lot of different parts. This part is, oh no. So what you want to do is, I'll just demonstrate the basics of Roblox texturing. So you want to select the part that you want to texture. You have to go to its properties and then change its brick color to whatever. This is how you change the color, and then you can change the material of the thing of this what do you call it, the part or object. And then you basically do the same thing for the model. So these parts are not textured, and then these parts are textured in Blender. So these parts are probably going to come in as white or something, and then you can go to that part, change the base color to something. You can also change the material. You can change it to metal, and then also neon for this one. For these these parts that are textured, for these parts that are textured, you would have to one of these surface appearance texture thing over here. So you want to add image, and then you want to add the texture. For example, mine, I think it was robot line. After adding this, it will automatically create a color map code. Also, make sure to publish it. Save it to Roblox, or else this wouldn't work. So you want to save it to Roblox, and then you can import your color map, and then it will apply it to that section. Yeah, that's how you texture in Roblox. Okay. I'll be making further more videos on the UV unwrapping, the texturing process, and the baking process in future videos. Thank you for watching. Bye.